This week, the big tech companies doing everything they should to combat extremist messages online. They say they are. Do you agree? Tweet yes or no using the hashtag #DigitalView, and we'll round up your thoughts at the end of the programme today. So let's start with that. This week, senior executives at both Facebook and Google have talked about what can be done to stop the spread of support for groups like so-called Islamic State. It comes after recent private meetings between the big tech firms and America's most senior security staff. Facebook's chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, said everyone can help by liking extremist content. She says this: the idea is, what can we do? Well, the best antidote to bad speech is good speech. The best antidote to hate is tolerance. But is that really enough? Joining me from central London is Jonathan Russell, who's head of policy at Quilliam, the anti-extremist think tank. Is it enough, Jonathan?
I think it's certainly part of the strategy. What we've seen so far has been a government-led response that has been pretty ineffective, I think. I think, by contrast, social media companies, the private sector in general, can unite with government and with the third sector to do this more effectively, because a civil society approach is what's required here. We need citizens all over the world to counter ISIS, and what do they have all in common? They're all on social media, so it's a good start.
Seems a little counterintuitive, though, to like something if you personally detest it.
Well, I think that's just one example that worked in Germany to fight back against the far right. We've seen other campaigns that have been supported by social media companies that really seek to win the war of words, to win the battle of ideas against Islamic State. It's clear that a negative measures approach has not been effective. Taking down material has simply been replaced by new material or by new users, and to a certain extent it's seen as a badge of honour by Islamic State fighters when their accounts are removed. Instead, we need to take their ideas to account. We need to challenge the seeming effectiveness of their propaganda, and we need to replace those messages with more positive messages. It's not inspiring to have a call to inaction. It's not inspiring to have an establishment message when Islamic State are pushing out an anti-establishment rhetoric that calls people to go and fight. We need to offer alternatives, and yes, I think that alternative is rooted in human rights and in equality and tolerance, rather than more hate.
There's already, I believe, technology out there they're experimenting with to try and flag up people who may be at risk. There's the suicide watch technology available on some social media platforms. Would it be possible to devise something whereby users could flag something as inappropriate or violent in a way that isn't quite going the same way as asking for it to be taken down or removed?
The technology certainly exists. And this is why I think the approach should be led by the private sector and by the third sector. If governments do something like that, then it will be seen as a low-level intelligence gathering exercise. It'll be seen as profiling, or it'll be used by the police and so forth. If, however, tech companies and the private sector learn from public health campaigns, learn from the defence sector, and learn from advertisers to see how we can analyse the target audience and get content to them to try and win their hearts and minds, in this case, or shape their behaviour, then I think we can be more effective. There's content out there that pushes back against Islamic State, but at the moment it's not getting to the right people, and it's not tackling their vulnerability. And Islamic State are not impressive, but at the moment, two key narratives that they have are not being challenged. Their state-building narrative, their utopia ideas, and their sense of belonging, which tap entirely into the grievances and the identity crises that are felt by their target audience. And that needs to be challenged.
A brief thought about the idea, which has been proposed, I think, perhaps a little naive, to try and get all this discourse off the public internet, thereby pushing extremist groups to the dark web. Is that really a solution?
Well, a similar thing was tried offline when you think about closing down institutions or arresting people. These are all negative measures. I fear when we look to deal with extremism by pushing it underground into more ungoverned spaces. Let's deal with it on the top level, and let's win that war of words. I think we've got capabilities from all sorts of sectors. Hollywood are far better than the production values of Islamic State. Advertisers and strategic communications companies far better than the strategies currently used by Islamic State. We've simply got to unite to defeat this organisation and the broader trend of extremism.
Jonathan Russell, thank you for being with us today.